When did you tell yourself that you have to show up for yourself? Tonight's message is about the fact that ever so often we go through life one day in, one day out, and we forget that ultimately, if we make a decision of learning something new, teaching something new, or leading a group into doing something amazing, at some point you have to show up yourself to do what you really want to do. So tonight's message is about this. How come? So let's see. Tonight's topic is how to feel that you don't have to wait for others to get closer to your dream. So let's see if we can discuss that today. My name is Alain Faber, and I've been teaching in high school for the last 25 years, and I've been sharing information about what I teach in my classroom on my channel. And I have this podcast on different topics, ideas that I think about from questions and conversations I have during the day. So today is mostly about the fact that at some point, no, it was, let's see, it was someone on TikTok. So I listened to quite a few people, and one of them is about, let's see, financial literacy. And he was talking about the fact that if you want to become more wealthy, if you want to feel that you are growing, sometimes you have to make your own decision and decide that you can no longer wait for others to tell you what to do, but you need to move forward and lead your life. And from this, I got the idea that if we can just have the idea of show up for ourselves, maybe we can achieve our dreams as well. So tonight's podcast is always will be divided in three parts, as usual. The first one is about the student's perspective or the learner's perspective. Second topic will be about the teacher's perspective, and the third topic will be about the leader's perspective. So let's see if we can start today. So when you are a learner, often you say, well, I'm a learner, I'm a student. I am going to school so I can learn something new. That is amazing. But if you've noticed, when you go to a class or you follow a program, either in elementary school, high school, even universities, usually there's a curriculum. You are taking the class and you are following along what is being taught. So as a learner, you are assisting the learning opportunities. And from there, you make your own ideas, you learn new things, but ultimately, you ask questions to figure out if that fits with your future goals. Ideally, everybody will have a chance to say, okay, I know what I want to do in the future, therefore anything I learn will be towards that. Now, if you're like me, in many ways, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And therefore, I was a geologist for many years. I'm a teacher for 25 years, and I'm enjoying what I do. And the big question here is that I'm always learning something new. Hence, this podcast for me to learn about how to do podcasts. So if you're a learner, you go to school, you learn new things, it's amazing. However, if you think about the fact that you're following along a curriculum, you might feel that you don't have control in what you're learning. Now, you have to keep in mind that we're part of a society. There's the school system. So there are some requirements that we have to do. That's part of it. However, keeping in mind that we know what we have to do, what are the things that we can do so that we can be, as I mentioned, show up for ourselves in our learning journey. So first of all, indeed, in the school system, we have extracurricular activities. So we have different clubs from theater, sports, STEM club, arts. There's a lot of things we can do. And this allows students to experience different opportunities. Now, on top of that, if you keep in mind, I know some students that are enjoying school sometimes more about the extracurricular activities compared to the actual classes. And that's okay, because ultimately in the school, we're there to learn within a community. And what we learn is what's important to us. Now, keeping in mind that if you are going to school, you're learning a few things. Now, you may decide that the school system is great, but let's see what you can do outside of school. And that becomes interesting because in 2024, we have access to the internet, we have access to social media, we have access to experts online. The possibility of learning from amazing people is almost impossible to gauge. And therefore, that's what is interesting here. If you have an idea and you want to learn something new, you could decide that, okay, I'm going to let the school tell me what to learn, and eventually the school will show me everything I need to know. Or you can decide to do, along with the school, to look at ideas that you like, hobbies that you enjoy, and from there, in a parallel way, you can learn more from what you love in parallel with what you do during the daytime. So here's a few examples. So sports, for example, there's a lot of people that are part of teams outside of school, but there's a lot of people playing basketball in the parks around their house. You know what? This is a great way because people are saying, well, I want to play basketball. Let's see if I can practice, do drills, and get better. And this is amazing. Some of you may decide to knit or crochet, same thing. You may have a group of people that will do crochet in your community. And the more you practice, the better you get. If you decide to do video editing, because that's something you like to do, there's tons of people that have videos to edit. And guess what? You can actually learn to edit video while getting paid doing video editing. So there's a lot of things that are interesting here. You may decide that you like building stuff, circuits, houses, sheds. There's all kind of things, or even repair a car. There's a lot of things that we can do. And as a learner, the list is infinite. Now you're going to say, well, if I don't know anybody to help me, what can I do? Well, for example, YouTube is a great place for that. YouTube has plenty of videos about plenty of different topics that you can learn from. And on top of that, if you find a person or a YouTube channel that talks a lot about the topic that you like, then you have a chance to build a relationship with that person, that YouTuber, you could say, or the person creating the videos, so that you can learn from them and then be part of a community that have similar interests. I know that if you think of skateboarding, that's a great way to experience life. Also, people are amazing, but you may not have people to do skateboarding around you. However, you might be able to build a community of skateboarders online, and then eventually you'll see, once you become more independent, you can certainly meet them in different places around the world. And I remember, if you think I don't know if it's the last Olympic or the previous one, there was a skateboarder that was like 14 years old at the Olympics. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and being discovered is amazing that way. So if you keep in mind that we can learn everywhere, at school, after school, in extracurricular activities, or on our own using the social media and our community, there's so much we can learn. Now, you have to keep in mind that you cannot do everything. However, you can do anything. So you have to set your mind into deciding what you want to do, and from there, taking action. Now, you have to keep in mind as well that you need every so often to reflect, to see, or to ask yourself, does it fit with my vision of what I want to do in the future? So if, for example, you are being part of a club and then you enjoy it, but then you realize that it's not quite fitting with my long-term vision, what I'd like to do in the future, or what I really want to learn, then you can take some time to spend time with the group. But it is okay to say, okay, I've learned everything that I think I need to learn in this topic, because I need to expand my mind in other groups. And that's the beauty of a learner. You have a chance to actually learn a variety of skills through a variety of means. And if you're young, it's even better because you have more time. Now, we have to stay out of the trap where you feel that, okay, I'm going to try to learn something new every week, and it's going to be different. What happens is you end up knowing a lot of things about a lot of topics, but you never have a chance to become closer to an expert. And that there's a lot of room for that in the future. And I think it's something important to think about. We're going to go to our second topic today about teaching. And for this one here, when you are a teacher, I was thinking today, and that idea came from someone on TikTok. His name is, it's called The Lazy Investor. And he was talking about the teaching. And he was saying, well, If you want to be a teacher, you could decide to do a couple degrees and then go into a school system and start teaching. But parallel to that, you could decide to go online and teach people on YouTube or social media. That's an option too. You could decide to tutor, which is like teaching. You could decide to on top of wanting to do your degrees as a teacher, you could decide to go with other teachers so that you can co-teach, doing conferencing, being speakers, and the more people you learn, the more people you get to know, the more people you learn from, and therefore your life can expand. And that's something to look into. And as a teacher, I love teaching during the day. My YouTube channels are there for me as an outlet to share what I know, not only to in my classroom, but outside of the classroom. But it's also helping me to get better at the vocabulary, at the how can I say that? At the preparing and mastering the craft. The more you do it, the better you get. That's my perspective of that. Now you also have to keep that don't to fall in the trap where you're going to be in a place where you're going to teach the same thing over and over again, or you will do one thing over and over again. You have not to fall in the trap of a feeling that it does not fit your long-term vision. So if it happens as a teacher or as a tutor, as someone online teaching what you know, if you feel that whatever you're doing is not quite in line with what you want to do as a long-term vision, it is okay to change a little bit. So I've been teaching for 25 years, and you're going to say, well, how come I didn't change? Well, the reason for that is that I love teaching as a craft, and I'm very curious, and I enjoy being with students and learners. So what happens here is that I have new groups of students and learners every year, every semester. I teach different topics yearly, which is amazing as well. So, and since I'm curious, I'm always learning something new. So overall, whatever I'm doing right now is satisfying me in many ways. Does it fit with my long-term vision? Yes, it does. And do I do only teaching in the school? Nope. I do it in the school. I tutor as well for some people, and I have my YouTube channels. All these activities to support what I like to do. And that is, I think, something to keep in mind. Now, we're going to go into our third segment tonight. And the third segment is about leadership. And as a leader, here I just say, well, it's not someone, a CEO. A leader can be a parent in a family. A leader could be taking care of a group in your community. It can certainly be a CEO or a project manager, or if you're leading a team. But then again, if you are a leader, it's important for you to show up for yourself. Because from my experience as a leader in many different aspects of life, if you are not curious, if you're not mindful of opening up, asking questions, diversifying your network, what happens is that you could be in a situation where you are a leader, but you're not moving forward because you are stuck in some ways in one place. So as a leader, I would always say, if you have a chance, find a way to show up for yourself and do not wait that opportunities come to you. So you have to look at your network, ask questions, find ways to collaborate. By doing so, you'll be able to grow as a leader, and your organization, your company, your community, your family will profit and also will grow from there. And this is my topics for today. I'm going to conclude this podcast with a statement from Dan Martel. And Dan Martel, in one of his videos, was saying, if you want to try something, give yourself 1,000 days. If you give yourself 1,000 days, often people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they certainly underestimate what they can do in 3. So 1,000 days is about 3 years. So if you're not quite sure and you want to learn something, you want to attempt something different, then try to see if you can parallel to what you're doing daily. So your job, your family, business, whatever you do, Try to do something on the side so that you can get closer to your dream. But also, every time you take action, you grow as a person and you can get your experience, your new learning into what you do every day. And I think that is important. So hopefully that all made sense. And I will wish you an amazing day. Thank you very much for being here. And I will see you next Wednesday at 7:30 Toronto time. On this, have an amazing day. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.